Welcome back to Charette Theory, where design meets intention and decor tells a story. Today, we're embarking on a sensory journey, one that evokes the calm of a seaside resort and the rebirth of spring, all within the comfort of your living room. This is * Spring Escape at Home Resort-Style Living Room Ideas Star. As the days grow longer and the breeze carries warmth, our homes crave that same airy elegance. A resort-style interior isn't just a seasonal whim, it's a lifestyle shift toward tranquility, simplicity, and everyday luxury. In this video, we'll walk you through design principles and tactile choices that bring vacation energy to your everyday environment, with an emphasis on natural textures, sunlit spaces, and timeless elegance. Let's begin. A resort-style living room begins with a foundation of calm, an atmosphere that immediately soothes the senses and invites you to breathe deeper. That foundation is built through color, and the most serene interiors start with soft neutrals. Shades like sand, ivory, and taupe don't just fill a room, they soften it. These hues mirror the organic beauty of coastal landscapes, the pale drift of dunes, the delicate tone of sun-bleached shells, the quiet elegance of linen swaying in a seaside breeze. They evoke feelings of spaciousness and restfulness, which is exactly what a resort-style room should do. Picture walls painted in a warm ivory tone, catching and diffusing natural light with a subtle golden cast. A sofa in light taupe, neither too cool nor too warm, anchors the room with understated depth, while textured throws in sandy shades add gentle contrast and tactile comfort. These neutral layers act like a blank canvas, allowing other design elements, like pastel accents or botanical touches, to shine without clashing. But more importantly, they create visual breathing room. In a world full of noise and clutter, a space dressed in calming neutrals becomes a personal sanctuary. This soft, sun-washed palette doesn't follow trends, it transcends them. It brings quiet luxury into your home, an elegance that's effortless, adaptable, and timeless. Whether you're reading by the window, hosting a brunch, or simply enjoying a quiet moment, a neutral color base sets the tone for intentional living. It whispers, rather than shouts. It restores, rather than stimulates. And that, at its core, is the essence of resort-style decor. Spring is the season of renewal, the time when nature awakens from its slumber, and everything feels lighter, brighter, and full of promise. In the world of interiors, nothing captures this sense of transformation more beautifully than a pastel color scheme. Soft and subtle, these hues echo the gentle transitions we see outdoors, the first unfurling leaves, the blooming of delicate petals, the clear blue stretch of a spring morning sky. Sage green brings with it the quiet vitality of new growth. It feels grounded yet fresh, connecting your space to nature in a way that's both calming and contemporary. Blush pink infuses a room with the soft romance of spring florals, roses, cherry blossoms, tulips just starting to open. It's a color that feels joyful without being loud, a gentle nod to warmth and affection. Pale blue, meanwhile, calls to mind open air and possibility. It adds clarity to a space, like windows thrown open after a long winter, letting in sunlight and breeze. In a resort-style living room, these pastels work best as accents. Think sage green throw pillows against a creamy linen sofa, blush pink ceramics lining a shelf, or pale blue abstract artwork above a console. You can also bring these colors in through glassware, candles, or seasonal flowers. The key is restraint. Pastels should breathe into the space, not overpower it. By layering these gentle tones against a neutral backdrop of sand, ivory, or taupe, you create a space that feels both intentional and effortless. It's fresh without being fussy, colorful without chaos. And most importantly, it feels alive, just like spring itself. resort-style living room, light is more than illumination, it's atmosphere. It shapes the mood, lifts the spirit, and brings the outdoors in. And one of the simplest yet most powerful tools to harness natural light is the sheer white curtain. Elegant and ethereal, it filters sunlight in a way that softens every edge of the room, transforming harsh daylight into a golden, almost dreamlike glow. Sheer curtains don't block the sun, they embrace it. As the day progresses, they shift in tone, glowing amber in the morning, pale and translucent at noon, and gently dusky by late afternoon. They animate the room with movement as the breeze stirs them, mimicking the slow rhythm of ocean waves or wind-blown linen on a terrace. This kinetic softness adds a living dimension to your space, one that echoes the fluid, effortless nature of a true retreat. Visually, sheer white curtains expand a room's sense of space. They blur the line between interior and exterior, inviting in sky and garden while still offering a layer of privacy. Framing a window in sheer fabric allows the architectural lines to disappear slightly, replaced instead by light, shadow, and gentle diffusion. It's an invitation to pause, to notice the way sunlight plays on fabric or how silhouettes dance in the afternoon breeze. From a design perspective, their minimalism enhances the resort aesthetic. They don't distract. Instead, they contribute to a light, open, and grounded palette, working in harmony with ivory walls, pale woods, and pastel accents. Whether floor length and flowing or gently tailored just below the sill, they provide elegance without effort. And perhaps most importantly, they create a feeling. A space with sheer curtains feels like it belongs to a slower pace of life, a place where mornings stretch long with coffee and quiet, where evenings settle in with amber light and ocean-scented air. It's a small change that brings a world of calm. In the language of interiors, sheer curtains speak in whispers, and what they say is peace. Seating is the heart of any living room, but in a spring-inspired, resort-style space, it becomes more than a place to sit. It becomes an invitation to rest, to lounge, to pause. The kind of seating you choose not only defines the room's function, but also its spirit. And for this particular style, that spirit is all about subtle luxury and ease. Low profile, minimalist seating is essential to achieving that relaxed, open aesthetic. Think of the kind of sofas and chairs you might find in a sun-soaked coastal villa or a private island retreat, pieces that hug the floor just a bit more closely, with deep seats and clean lines that say comfort without shouting it. Their lower silhouette helps maintain clear sight lines across the room, making everything feel more expansive, more breathable, more zen. It's a design choice that enhances flow, both visually and physically. The upholstery should reflect the calm tone of spring, light, airy, and organic. Soft linens in ivory, oatmeal, or pale greys set a tranquil foundation. They feel fresh, breathable, and perfectly suited to the season. Cotton or linen blend fabrics offer that same cool touch while being durable and textural, grounding the space in natural materials that age beautifully over time. And it's not just about looks. These materials feel different. They invite contact. The slight crumple of linen after someone sat down, the coolness of the fabric in the morning light, it all contributes to a feeling of lived-in elegance. These aren't stiff, showpiece sofas meant for a catalogue. They're quiet statements of rest and intention. Design-wise, minimalist seating means cutting the excess, no ornate legs, no oversized arms, no dramatic tufting. Instead, you'll find soft-edged forms, wide cushions, and a restrained color palette that harmonizes with the rest of the room. Add a few throw pillows in pastel tones, sage, blush, pale blue, and you've created an inviting vignette that feels both grounded and weightless, like the room itself is taking a deep breath. In a spring resort-inspired living room, seating is more than a utility, it's a reflection of lifestyle. One of ease, of open schedules, of golden afternoons spent reading or sipping something cool. Low profile, minimalist furniture doesn't just support the body, it supports the idea that your home is a retreat, a place to return to yourself. In a resort-style spring living room, comfort should feel effortless, like slipping into a soft robe after a swim or sinking into a sun-warmed lounge chair. This sense of ease isn't just about seating or layout, it lives in the textures that surround you. That's where textiles come in. Cushions and throws made from linen, cotton, and woven fabrics are more than just accessories, they are the soul of the space, offering touchable softness, visual depth, and seasonal sensibility. Linen is the undisputed star of spring textiles. Its texture is light and breathable, its drape relaxed yet refined. It carries a subtle crinkle, a beautiful imperfection, that makes a room feel lived in without losing its elegance. Linen pillows in soft neutrals, ivory, sand, stone, add a breezy richness to sofas and chairs. When dyed in gentle pastels like sage green or blush pink, they bring seasonal freshness in a way that feels natural and calming. Linen throws, casually draped over the arm of a chair or folded neatly on a bench, create an invitation to unwind. Cotton complements linen with its softness and versatility. It absorbs light differently, offering a smooth contrast to linen's airy weave. Lightweight cotton throws are perfect for cooler spring evenings, while cotton cushion covers can feature subtle patterns, pinstripes, tone-on-tone embroidery, or gentle florals that add visual interest without disturbing the room's quiet palette. Cotton speaks to comfort, it's easy to care for, familiar, and always welcoming. Woven fabrics, especially hand-woven or artisanal pieces, add a grounded tactile quality to the space. These might be chunky knit throws in undyed yarn, or cushions with basket-weave textures, or even pillows made from vintage hand-loomed fabrics. The slight irregularities in these materials, thicker threads, visible weave patterns, tonal variations, give them a richness that can't be replicated by mass production. These details whisper authenticity, the kind of character you'd expect from a thoughtfully curated resort villa. Together, these fabrics create a layered softness that transforms your living room into a haven. They add warmth without weight, texture without clutter. And most importantly, they evoke a sensory response, the desire to sit down, to relax, to stay a while. In spring, when the air is crisp and clean, and nature is blooming again, these textiles echo that same renewal. They feel like a fresh breeze. They feel like home. Lighting is more than a practical necessity, it's the emotional heartbeat of a space. In a resort-style spring living room, lighting should not only illuminate but also evoke. It should cast a golden hush over the room, mimicking the mellow warmth of a sunset or the first rays of morning light. Ambient lighting with warm-toned bulbs is the key to achieving this kind of atmosphere, one that feels inviting, restful, and endlessly serene. Where natural daylight fills the room during the day, ambient lighting takes over as evening falls. It transitions your space from bright and energized to soft and nurturing. Think of the warm glow inside a private beachfront bungalow just as the sky begins to dim, how the light seems to wrap around you like a linen shawl. That's the experience you're trying to recreate. Warm-toned bulbs, ideally in the 2200K to 2700K range, produce light that's closer to candlelight than clinical white. These bulbs make everything in the room look softer. Your furniture, your art, your skin. They reduce visual strain and promote calm. Imagine sitting beneath a pale rattan pendant light as it spills golden light over a travertine tabletop, while outside, the sky glows lilac. That moment, quiet and full of glow, is what ambient lighting makes possible. To layer this effectively, consider multiple light sources spread throughout the room. Use ceiling fixtures with dimmers, floor lamps near reading chairs, and table lamps beside sofas. The goal is to create a halo of comfort, not a spotlight. Your lighting shouldn't come from just one direction, it should flow like the sunlight did earlier in the day. Lampshades in linen or woven textures help diffuse the light even further, adding warmth and softness to each glow. Glass fixtures in amber or frosted finishes can also add subtle tone to the room, warming the palette without adding physical clutter. The beauty of warm ambient lighting lies in its subtlety. It's not designed to dazzle or overwhelm. Instead, it enhances what's already there, the gentle folds of your curtains, the soft pastel of your cushions, the delicate shimmer of a mirror. It brings everything into harmony. In a spring living room inspired by resort-style living, this kind of lighting becomes a ritual. It marks the shift from day to evening, from productivity to pause. It tells you, without saying a word, that it's time to slow down, unwind, and simply be. If your living room is the heart of a resort-inspired retreat, pendant lighting and lantern-style fixtures are its crown jewels, suspended in space like floating sculptures, casting shadows that feel like poetry. These statement pieces do more than provide illumination, they shape the atmosphere, establish mood, and echo the elegance of faraway places where time seems to slow and the air feels softer. Pendant lights are especially powerful in rooms with high ceilings or open layouts. Their vertical drop draws the eye upward, giving the illusion of more space while adding a sense of architectural drama. In a spring living room designed around natural light, pastels, and softness, pendant lighting creates a gentle visual anchor, something that centers the room without grounding it too heavily. Choose materials that echo nature. Think woven bamboo pendants in large, dome-like forms, like something you'd find in a coastal villa's open-air lounge. or opt for open cane or wicker designs that cast delicate shadow patterns across the ceiling and walls, reminiscent of sunlight filtering through palm leaves. These pieces bring both form and function, organic, understated, and full of movement. Lantern-style fixtures, inspired by vintage travel and timeless craftsmanship, add a different kind of charm. Whether shaped from wood, brass, or iron with glass panes or fabric shades, they hint at old-world elegance and global adventure. Suspended over a seating area or tucked into a reading corner, they evoke the feeling of an evening stroll through a seaside town, soft light glowing from every terrace and balcony. For a truly resort-like ambience, consider hanging multiple smaller pendants at varied heights or placing a singular oversized piece as a focal point. Think beyond the center of the ceiling. Try positioning one over a coffee table, in a corner nook, or above a console for visual balance and surprise. These fixtures are not just about brightness, they're about shaping space and inviting calm. When paired with warm-tone bulbs, these lights create a layered glow that transitions beautifully from day to evening. By night, they cast pools of warm light that feel both sculptural and intimate. By day, they serve as art objects, their textures catching the natural light and adding richness to your overall palette. In a spring living room inspired by vacation living, pendant and lantern-style lights are your slow living signature, functional beauty suspended in the air. They don't just light the way. They invite you to stay. Bringing nature indoors isn't just a trend, it's a timeless philosophy. In a spring living room styled like a resort escape, greenery doesn't act as mere decoration. It breathes life into the room. Potted palms, lush monsteras, and graceful peace lilies are more than houseplants, they're mood setters, air purifiers, and design elements that reconnect your space to the earth's quiet rhythm. They offer tropical energy without the clichés, just verdant calm and vitality. Let's begin with potted palms. Whether it's a tall Kentia palm in a woven basket or a more compact Areca palm on a plant stand, these plants bring drama and elegance. Their long, feathery fronds arch delicately into the space, mimicking the silhouettes of resort terraces and poolside lounges. They love bright, indirect light, perfect for the naturally lit corners of a spring-inspired room. And when the sunlight filters through their leaves, they cast the most poetic shadows, movement and texture that change throughout the day. Monsteras, often called Swiss cheese plants, are beloved for their broad, glossy leaves and sculptural appearance. With their natural fenestrations, those iconic holes and splits, they create dynamic silhouettes that feel bold yet soothing. A monstera in a minimalist ceramic planter on the floor instantly makes a space feel curated and lush. It's a living sculpture, wild and composed at the same time. Their deep green hue contrasts beautifully with soft neutral walls, pastel cushions, and travertine tabletops, grounding the room in vibrant energy. Peace lilies, on the other hand, offer an elegant calm. With slender, dark leaves and graceful white blooms, they feel like spa air made visible. Unlike the more exuberant palms and monsteras, peace lilies exude stillness. They do well in low to medium light, making them ideal for shaded corners or under windows filtered by sheer curtains. Their blooms seem to hover, like white sails in a calm breeze, serene and meditative. Together, these tropical plants don't just beautify, they balance. They bring freshness into a room defined by softness and warmth. They reinforce the natural materials around them, woven fabrics, wood grains, stone surfaces, creating a coherent, biophilic narrative. And emotionally, they elevate your living room into something more than a space. They make it feel alive. Position plants thoughtfully, flanking a sofa, tucked into a corner nook, perched atop a cane stool, or lining a windowsill. Use natural planters, terracotta, stone, rattan, ceramic in matte finishes. Avoid overly stylized containers that steal focus. Let the greenery do the talking. In a spring resort-style space, these botanical touches are like open windows to the tropics, fresh, breathing, and always in motion. They remind you to slow down, look up, and savor the return of light and life. Spring is nature's soft crescendo, a time when even the smallest blossoms carry the promise of renewal. In a resort-style living room, fresh flowers are not merely ornamental, they're symbolic. They signal freshness, presence, and appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the season. Tulips, hyacinths, and orchids in particular are ideal choices. Each brings its own rhythm, fragrance, and form to your space, effortlessly merging the indoors with spring's vivid energy outside. Tulips are the quintessential spring bloom. Their smooth, sculptural shape and array of soft pastels, blush pink, pale yellow, creamy white, make them a perfect complement to the resort palette. Arranged loosely in a glass cylinder vase, they evoke ease and optimism, like an open window on a cool morning. There's something beautifully honest about tulips. They droop slightly, they open slowly with the light, they remind you that beauty is not static. A single bundle on a coffee table or bookshelf can elevate the entire space. Hyacinths, by contrast, bring a burst of scent that fills the room without needing to compete visually. Their dense clusters of petals offer a more textured look, structured, full, and rich. Soft lavender, peach, or white hyacinths in a ceramic bud vase beside the sofa or on a side table feel thoughtful and grounding. Their fragrance, floral, green, and slightly spicy, acts as a natural diffuser, adding to the atmosphere of retreat and renewal. Then there are orchids, perhaps the most refined of all. With their slender stems and delicate, long-lasting blooms, orchids speak the language of quiet luxury. A white phalaenopsis orchid in a minimalist planter, stone, matte ceramic, or wood is a sculptural statement that requires very little to shine. They don't demand attention. They simply hold it. Placed on a console table or near natural light, they create an instant spa-like ambience, especially when echoed by warm lighting or a soft breeze from an open window. What makes these floral choices so suited to a resort-style interior is not just their appearance, it's their presence. Fresh flowers ask you to live in the moment, to notice, to pause. They're ephemeral, and that impermanence is part of their power. Vessels matter too. Choose vases that are simple, textural, and natural, clear glass, unglazed ceramic, handmade pottery. Avoid elaborate arrangements, the goal is restraint, not opulence. A few carefully chosen stems in the right spot can speak volumes. In a spring living room designed to feel like a peaceful escape, fresh flowers are the final touch, the whisper that reminds you to breathe deeply, look around, and savor the season while it's here. Art in a spring-inspired, resort-style living room is not meant to overpower or overwhelm. It's meant to whisper, to echo the natural world, to evoke emotion in subtle, graceful ways. Nature-inspired art, whether it's a tranquil ocean view, a delicate botanical study, or an abstract landscape that captures light and movement, becomes a visual extension of the season. It deepens the sensory experience of the space, offering beauty not for spectacle, but for serenity. Start with ocean views. These can range from detailed seascapes in muted tones to minimalist prints that suggest water and horizon with only a few brushstrokes. You're not aiming for coastal kitsch, no sailboats or seashell montages, but rather an image that reflects light and space. Choose artwork that uses soft blues, gentle grays, warm sands, or faded white, tones that harmonize with the color palette of your room and keep the atmosphere cohesive and calm. An oversized piece above the sofa can act as a portal to stillness, turning the entire wall into a window to somewhere peaceful. Florals, especially in the context of spring, offer a grounded connection to renewal. But instead of bright, overly saturated blooms, opt for more subdued, artistic representations. Think watercolor peonies in blush tones, line-drawn botanicals in black on cream paper, or vintage-style pressed flowers in floating frames. These pieces don't just bring beauty, they reflect the fragility and temporality of nature, which is what makes spring so poignant. Group smaller floral works into a gallery wall or let a single piece breathe on a soft-toned wall. Then there are abstract landscapes, pieces that suggest terrain, horizon, breeze, or sky without depicting them literally. These are especially powerful in resort-style interiors because they speak to feeling rather than form. A painting that blends sage green with ivory and pale gold, with broad strokes or layered textures, can evoke the sense of walking through a field or standing on a misty shoreline without needing to spell it out. Abstract works allow each viewer to experience the room in their own way, adding personal interpretation to universal calm. Framing is just as important as the art itself. Choose natural wood, brushed brass, or whitewashed frames that blend with your existing decor. Let the pieces breathe, don't clutter the walls. Leave negative space to allow both the art and the room to feel open. Consider leaning one or two framed pieces casually on a console rather than hanging everything. This adds to the sense of relaxed elegance. In a spring resort-style living room, art is more than a finishing touch. It's an invitation to feel the breeze, to wander through imagined gardens, to reflect, to rest. It's the final layer of ambience, a quiet conversation between nature and your home. In a spring-inspired, resort-style living room, texture is a language all its own. It speaks softly but clearly, about comfort, about craft, about warmth without weight. And few design elements express that tactile dialogue better than textural wall hangings. Whether in the form of macramé, fiber art, or hand-woven tapestries, these pieces offer more than just decoration. They introduce rhythm, depth, and artisanal beauty to your space, like soft echoes of handmade luxury found in a coastal hideaway. Macramé is a classic example. With its knotted ropes, fringed ends, and natural cream tones, macramé brings a sense of bohemian ease and heritage craft into the room. It feels organic, familiar, and calming. A large macramé wall hanging above a bench or low-profile sofa creates visual softness, an antidote to hard edges and flat surfaces. Its shadows shift gently with the changing light, adding a quiet dynamism to your walls. Fiber art, on the other hand, takes many forms. From thick wool loops to silk weavings, from raw jute compositions to multidimensional yarn sculptures. These pieces can be tonal, ivory on ivory, colorful, with muted pastels that match your spring palette, or even abstract, mimicking natural forms like waves, petals, or rolling hills. What they all share is tactility. You don't just see them, you feel them, even from across the room. In a space defined by linens, light woods, soft seating, and tropical greenery, these wall hangings act like soft punctuation. They add warmth without heaviness, personality without clutter, texture without taking up floor space. And because they often have irregular shapes or layered depth, they create contrast against the clean lines of minimalist furniture or smooth plaster walls. Placement matters. Hang a fiber piece near natural light so its texture can come alive with shadow. Use it to soften a stark wall, or to fill vertical space where framed art might feel too rigid. For something more relaxed, drape a narrow tapestry over a wooden dowel and lean it casually against a wall near a reading nook. Or go bolder with a large format hanging that acts as a centerpiece, inviting both conversation and contemplation. These pieces also carry emotional resonance. They often feel handmade, storied, one of a kind, even if they're not. They remind us of craft, patience, and the tactile pleasures of slowness. In a spring resort-style interior, they're like a woven breeze, delicate, human, and full of quiet intention. Incorporating macramé or fiber art isn't just about trend or texture. It's about creating a room that speaks to the senses, that feels wrapped in calm, anchored by craft, and touched by the spirit of renewal. When you step into a luxury resort lounge, the first thing you often notice is not what's in the room, but what isn't. There's space. Room to breathe. Visual clarity. A deliberate sense of openness. That feeling doesn't happen by accident, it's a design strategy rooted in simplicity, proportion, and flow. And in your spring-inspired, resort-style living room, this same approach creates the foundation for everything else. An open, uncluttered layout isn't just about minimalism, it's about freedom. Freedom to move. Freedom to rest your gaze. Freedom to be present. In spring, when the world outside is bright and blooming, you want your interiors to echo that freshness. A spacious room feels cleaner, lighter, and more connected to the season. Start with the furniture arrangement. Avoid pushing all pieces against the walls. Instead, float your sofa or chairs if possible, creating islands of interaction rather than perimeter seating. This mimics the layout of high-end resort lounges where conversation zones feel intentional and relaxed. A pair of rattan chairs angled toward a linen couch, centered around a low travertine coffee table, gives both structure and fluidity. Clear walkways matter. Leave enough room between furniture pieces to allow movement, not just physically, but visually. Your eye should be able to glide across the room without interruption. That means minimizing large floor items, keeping surfaces mostly clean, and using rugs to define zones rather than dominate them. Think in layers, not clutter. A jute rug grounds the space. A single branch in a ceramic vase adds height. One piece of wall art or a sculptural object gives the eye a place to land. Then, let the rest be still. This negative space becomes the canvas that allows your textures, plants, and lighting to shine. It's the difference between a home that feels decorated and one that feels designed. Storage is key to maintaining this openness. Tuck away visual clutter, magazines, electronics, extra textiles, into woven baskets or lidded boxes. Opt for multifunctional furniture like a bench that doubles as a trunk or an ottoman with hidden compartments. Keeping surfaces clear doesn't mean sacrificing comfort, it means elevating it, editing it, making room for light and air. And remember, quiet doesn't mean boring. An uncluttered space gives room for detail, how a light hits a sheer curtain, how shadows dance across a stone table, how the color of a tulip reflects in a glass of water nearby. You begin to notice the poetry in the little things, because the room gives you the stillness to see them. In a spring living room styled after a resort lounge, openness isn't just aesthetic, it's psychological. It invites rest, clarity, and calm. It makes the space feel like an escape, even if you never leave home. In a resort-style living room, functionality should never disrupt serenity. Instead, storage solutions are woven, literally, into the decor in a way that feels intentional, natural, and beautiful. Enter the woven basket, a quiet workhorse that does more than contain clutter. It enhances texture, adds visual warmth, and supports the effortless calm that defines spring interiors inspired by tropical escapes. Woven baskets, crafted from rattan, seagrass, jute, or cane, are the perfect marriage of utility and aesthetic. They whisper instead of shout. Their textures echo the organic materials already present in the room, a jute rug beneath your feet, linen pillows on the couch, light wood tones along the furniture. When placed thoughtfully, these baskets don't read as storage, they feel like part of the room's rhythm. Use large floor baskets to store throws and blankets. Roll gently inside or draped casually over the edge, a chunky knit or a cotton gauze throw becomes part of the styling, ready to grab for a cool spring evening without needing a dedicated cabinet. Placing a basket beside the sofa or under a side table allows for functional beauty that feels like it belongs. Medium-sized baskets can hold books, magazines, or even board games, especially if open shelving isn't part of your layout. The visual advantage is clear. Instead of stacks that look unfinished or busy, you get neatly contained stories and objects, nestled in natural form. Small baskets are perfect for more personal items, remote controls, essential oil rollers, coasters, even fresh herbs or a small potted plant. These can sit atop a tray on your coffee table, line the bottom shelf of a console, or be tucked into the corner of a bench for accessible charm. In terms of style, go for neutral tones. Honey brown, straw beige, soft greys, or even dipped two-tone pieces that combine white and natural fibers. Avoid anything overly patterned or heavily adorned. The beauty of the woven basket lies in its simplicity and the tactile texture it contributes. You can also experiment with different shapes and scales. Tall and narrow baskets for vertical storage, wide and shallow for under-furniture tucking, lidded baskets for hidden storage, and open-weave baskets for lightness and breathability. Consider a trio of similar styles grouped together in a corner for a curated look that feels collected, not cluttered. In a spring living room inspired by resort design, baskets aren't just containers, they're calming devices. They hold the items that support daily life while reinforcing the natural, grounded mood of the room. They remind you that order and beauty can coexist, and that storage can be soft, sculptural, and deeply satisfying. Designing a spring resort-style living room is about more than what you see, it's about how you feel. And few elements influence mood as immediately and profoundly as scent. With just a breath, the right aroma can transport you to a spa beside the sea, a sunlit garden, or a breezy veranda where everything slows down. This is where essential oil diffusers come in, subtle, elegant, and deeply atmospheric. In a space filled with natural textures, sunlight, and soft colors, scent becomes the invisible layer that ties it all together. Unlike candles, diffusers offer continuous, gentle fragrance that drifts through the air without smoke or flame. And because they use water vapor to distribute essential oils, they add a hint of humidity, perfect for balancing dry indoor air during transitional seasons like spring. Let's talk lavender first. Its calming, floral aroma is a timeless favorite, evoking open fields, clean linens, and quiet evenings. A few drops in a diffuser instantly bring softness to the room. It's ideal in the late afternoon or just before winding down for the night, when golden light filters through sheer curtains and everything in the room leans toward stillness. Eucalyptus offers a cooler, more invigorating contrast. Its crisp, green notes recall fresh-cut stems, open windows, and early spring breezes. Diffuse it during the day for a refreshing lift. It's especially effective near a reading nook, beside a sunny window, or in a room styled with fresh greenery and woven textures. It complements the visual clarity of a resort-style room by clearing mental clutter as well. Then there's citrus, a category that includes lemon, grapefruit, orange, and bergamot. These oils add sparkle and vitality. They're perfect for the morning, gently energizing without the jolt of synthetic air fresheners. Citrus oils pair beautifully with a neutral pastel palette. They reinforce the brightness of a pale blue cushion or the warmth of a teakwood bench. Their scent lingers just enough to feel uplifting, not overpowering. Choose diffusers that blend into your decor, ceramic models in ivory or matte sand tones, wood-accented bases, or even stone-look designs that echo your travertine or marble surfaces. Their presence should be subtle, a small vessel on a shelf, a bedside table, or a corner console. Let the scent do the talking. You can also rotate oils with the time of day, citrus in the morning, eucalyptus in the afternoon, lavender in the evening. Or blend them into custom combinations, like lavender and lemon for a clean, spa-like experience, or eucalyptus with a drop of mint for an herbal wake-up. In a resort-style living room inspired by spring, diffusers do more than scent the air. They create atmosphere. They slow the moment. They help the room not just look, but feel like a getaway. A place not only designed for comfort, but for calm, clarity, and care. In a spring resort-style living room, every detail contributes to the feeling of sanctuary. Light, space, touch, all are essential. But to create a true sensory escape, you need something more elusive, more emotive, scented atmosphere. And there's nothing more quietly luxurious than a flickering Oceanic-Scented candle, an invitation to breathe deeply, slow down, and slip into a state of spa-like calm. Where essential oil diffusers hum in the background, candles offer ritual. They ask you to pause, to strike a match, to light the wick, to watch flame meet wax. This act alone adds mindfulness to your day, a softness that modern life often forgets. And in the context of a spring living room designed for rest and light, this glow becomes a focal point, a small, contained sun that warms the room from within. Choose oceanic scents that are subtle and layered. You're not aiming for the sharpness of commercial beach candles. You want refinement. Blends that include sea salt, driftwood, neroli, bergamot, or white tea. These fragrances are soft, mineral, and fresh, like clean linen after a swim, or the scent of tide-kissed stone at dusk. They should evoke coastal air, not tropical cocktails. Pair the scent with a vessel that speaks to your design palette. Go for matte ceramic jars, frosted glass, or minimalist stone containers in ivory, sand, or blush. Avoid labels that disrupt the visual calm. If possible, remove commercial stickers or transfer candles into refillable designer holders. This lets the candle become part of the decor, not a distraction from it. Placement is key. A single candle on the coffee table creates a central sense of glow. Group 2 on a console table near the entryway for an inviting welcome. Place one on a side table beside a lounge chair or reading nook for a moment of stillness and focus. If your living room opens to a patio or garden, allow the scent to drift naturally through an open window. Blending indoor elegance with outdoor serenity. Candles also layer beautifully with other sensory elements. As a diffuser releases eucalyptus in the corner, your candle might glow with notes of sea spray and figure a spring breeze stirs the sheer curtains. A linen throw rests beside you. And in that moment, the space is transformed, not into something grand or dramatic, but into something deeply personal, rooted in peace. In a resort-inspired living room, candles are more than ambience, they're emotional anchors. With every flicker and breath of scent, they remind you of something essential, that luxury is not about excess. It's about attention. And that a room designed to feel like spring should be gentle, glowing, and alive to the senses. By blending natural materials, spring colors, breezy layouts, and multisensory elements, you invite calm, clarity, and beauty into everyday life. Whether you're near the ocean or in the middle of the city, these design choices offer that coveted sense of retreat. Thank you for joining us on Charette Theory. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Here's to more beauty, intention, and inspiration right where you live.